IHMA Kerala State Chapter has conducted a series of 50 sessions of free webinar, and this is the season 2 of free webinars conducted by IHMA Kerala State Chapter. Dear delegates, season 2 of free webinars will end by July 25. So I request you all to make fruitful use of the webinars. Available recordings will be uploaded in YouTube as soon as possible, and the links will be sent in Telegram and WhatsApp groups. And today's session is hosted by IHMA Women's Wing Ernakulam. I invite Dr. Maria ma'am to take over the session and introduce the faculty for today. Ma'am, please ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Vinodini. I'm Dr. Maria Joseph from Ernakulam, Women's Wing Coordinator of Ernakulam District Committee. I welcome you all to this session of Hope 2. I take this opportunity to introduce you all about the activities of Women's Wing. Women's Wing is works under the guidance of IHMA for the upliftment and empowerment of our lady doctors. During these lockdown days, Women's Wing had conducted a lot of competitions and other programs for the well-being of our doctors. Now, let me take this opportunity to invite and introduce our today's faculty, Dr. Rekha Karnam Srinivasan. Doctor, she graduated from Government Homeopathic Medical College from Bangalore University in 1999. Postgraduate fellowship in homeopathy psychiatry from the Pioneer University, UK in 2010, and completed diploma in mental health and counseling from NIMHANS accredited SCARF Institute of Chennai in 2019. She also got trained in advanced classical homeopathy under legendary Professor George Vithalkos at Greece in 2019. Practicing in Chennai for the past 20 years, she is also a prolific writer, was published in peer-reviewed journals as well as presented papers in international conferences. She is in editorial board of Homeopathic Panorama, a tri-monthly journal of IHMA, compiled a book on treatment of autism by homeopathy. She is an orator and delivered lectures for homeopathic doctors and students, and takes health talks for school and college children. She has a penchant for Kannada literature and has published few short stories and poems in well-known Kannada magazines. Today, she'll be taking on the topic Adapting CBT and Motivational Interviewing for Homeopathic Practice, Counseling Techniques Workshop. She's also the Director General of Indian Homeopathic Research Center, IHRC, under IHMA. We welcome you, ma'am, to this seminar, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Maria. It's a great pleasure to be here and sharing my views about CBT and cognitive behavior therapy, as well as motivational interviewing. Hope it will well received. It will be well received. So I'll be sharing my screen. Yeah, I think it's visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, adapting cognitive behavior therapy and motivational interviewing into homeopathic practice. This is a model on workshop type in practice. So, hope you'll all like it and adapt it in your own practice. Basically, when we talk about psychology or psychotherapies, there are some theories of counseling. Especially, there are two majorly analytical and action-oriented therapies. You may be very well aware of psychoanalytic theories like Freud's, where they explore free association. So, what word comes to your mind that will be taken as a key element, and even catharsis, that is letting go of all your emotions and all those things. But usually, psychoanalytic therapies are very cumbersome. They take long time. But when we come to newer theories, cognitive behavior therapy has come up as a very major one in treating most of the psychiatric disorders, and it has been proven to be a very good result oriented therapy as well. But now my point is about adapting few techniques so that our homeopathic practice will be our counseling sessions will be more goal oriented rather than just a counseling just a good talk. I have few questions. I will ask Dr. Vinodini to share on the chat box. You please let me know your views about those questionnaires.
Yes,
I have three
ma'am.
questions for you.
Ma'am, I have shared the questionnaire in the chat box, ma'am.
Fine, fine. So I want you to share your views in the beginning of the session and in the end of the session. So
Okay, ma'am.
let
Sure.
us see whether there is any change in your views. So that could be brought about after seeing this presentation. So what
Okay.
is cognitive behavior therapy? But first of all, I want to talk about motivational interviewing. Though our focus is CBT, uh, adapting it to into homeopathic practice. So I'll not be getting too much into theory part because that you can learn. Most of you may have learned it as well because now most of have done MSc in psychology and other things. But I will first start with interviewing because when you receive the patient, that is the basic thing. So we will start with motivational interview. It is an approach where the individual is taken away from his state of ambivalence. So he is doing certain things and he is not very sure why he is doing it or what he wants to achieve from it. So and we sit down, we talk, and we make them take positive decisions. And this is person oriented. Like the client or the patient is the one who is taking the whole responsibility. So when we receive a patient in motivational interviewing, they will be mostly in the first three stages. This is Prochaska's this thing, and that is pre-contamination. They are not ready to accept that they have some problem. Okay, they will say no, no, not at all. I have no problem. Or they will be in the problem. Oh, okay, there is some problem. So many people are telling maybe I have to explore. Or they will be in the third stage where they think I have a problem and I need to get solution for the problem. So in that way, uh, if we can bring them from stage 1 to stage 3, that is one good effort because changing their attitudes is a very great thing. So here I want to make a demonstration with a live case, role playing rather, and where we will go through all the steps of this MI, and you let me know whether it suits you, uh, you can adapt these things. Yeah. Yeah, I have a client here. I will show you how I'll be doing the role play and how we go step by step. It is little fast forwarded because for the sake of time constraints. Hello, hello. I'm
Ma'am?
Dr. Can I? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Um, I'm Dr. Rekha. Can I? May I know your name? Please, a little bit more audible. Rani. Okay, you are Rani. Fine. You are a student, I guess. Which year? Second. Second year. Okay. And why are you here? Have you any idea why you have been here?
Actually, I don't know. I don't think I have a problem. I just don't know why I'm here. I'm completely normal.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can understand that. Since your mother called, you have been here. So you think you don't have any problem, right? Yeah. But your mother was telling that you'll be playing games on the mobile. What is your thought on that?
Well, I just do it a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just for relaxation. I can't always keep studying all day.
Yeah,
And it's not even a problem.
yeah. So this I'm expressing empathy with her. So I'm trying to build a rapport. So now we'll move on to developing discrepancy. Hope we are audible. We are audible, Dr. Vinodini.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
audible, ma'am.
Yeah, develop this next step. But do you think you have any problems with your health as such in recent times? You had any problems related to eyes or any other things?
I not something really big. I just have a headache 2 days per week. That's all. It's not even a big problem. And I just sleep or eat and it just goes away. So I don't think it's a problem at all.
Okay. It was there before also. Before even you checked with your eye doctor and other things, everything seems to be right. Your mother told me, but it was there before 1 or 2 months, something like that.
No, it was actually it just came to past. I think 2 months only.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, oh, fine. So, do you think still there is no problem, right?
No, actually, I believe I'm just looking at the phone. My mother is one who's really addicted. She's the one who's always on the phone. I ask her something, she says I'm busy, and she thinks I am the one who's always on the phone. So I don't really feel I have a problem.
But still, there is your mother will have some work online. She's working from home, right?
Yeah.
So,
But
so
always, like I ask her anything, she's like I'm working.
okay. So I think you should talk to her about that.
But she's not even there talking.
Okay. So you have told your mother that you have headaches. I think you will be aware of that mobile has some radiation issues. You will have headaches or brain issues, something like that. I think you are aware of it, right?
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
So you are aware of the dangers, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I've read about it in a few articles. Yes.
But still, you feel there is something should be done for your headaches, don't you think?
Yes, actually, I mean, I think it's not natural, so it's probably something wrong.
Something. So, this is I am not getting into argument, but I am rolling with the resistance. Like I am bringing her into my point of view slowly. So this is one way. It is fast forward. Like you can't be so fast in your clinics. So, but headache is not a natural thing, and you should for your age you should not be getting that without any health issues. So I think you have to take some care about that. What do you think? What can be done about it? You think you should go for a doctor or anything else?
I think I should take medicines probably, and maybe
that is
because of the
also
phone.
phone. You think so? Like it could be, right?
Maybe yes, maybe a little bit, maybe. Yeah.
So, what can be done further? See, if you are using it like addiction is you use for whole day. What can be done with that? How can you control your impulse to see the phone? Or what is the way out? You think?
Maybe I should start reading books. I used to read a lot of books before. I'm not doing it anymore, and I also love playing basketball and all.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I'm also a dancer, so maybe I should start resuming my hobbies.
Oh, yeah. You have heard about journaling, writing down all the things, making
Yeah.
points, notes.
I used to do it a little before, but now I don't find time.
So I suggest why don't you keep a record of all of your family members' mobile or screen timing. So that way you will prove that you are not addicted, right? You can stay without phone for 2 days, you told me, right?
Yeah,
So in that way you can prove that you are not
yeah.
addicted. Yeah, I think you can find out something by which you can prove that you are not doing that. And I think you can take care of your health as well, right? So you have to take steps to improve our health. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think, is it fine? You can.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Fine. Actually, as I told, it was fast forwarded. Like you have to get from the resistance part where she even don't want to tell her name to the level where they have to take charge of their problems. They have to think what can be done rather than telling there is no problem. So this is the way 5 principles of motivational interviewing, and here we collaborate with our patients, our clients. We change their attitudes, and they definitely want to seek help. They definitely want to come out of their problems, but they're not. They are in denial. They are not ready to change. That is a very natural, innate uh, thing, and they will have autonomy. Like they will decide what can be done rather than the therapist telling you have to do this or that. So this is the basis of motivational interview. And when it comes, so we have moved from the resistance to fully present, where she understands there is some problem and she has to come out of it. So uh, this is where practitioners are acquiring their expertise. So you should be first open to your client's expertise. You should be client-centered counseling. It is shifting from focus on the problem to the focus on the solutions. So that is the main thing here, and all the things the patient alone will decide. Usually, we won't be suggesting or we won't be pushing anything, and we have to understand the key aspects of the client's speech, and we have to guide them, and they have to empower them. We have to strengthen their change, and we have to roll with the resistance that we saw in that demo, and we have to negotiate. Like as I suggested, you can take note of all everyone's mobile addiction or whatever. So in that way, she is not victimized. She is not told you alone are doing. So in that way, we can negotiate plans, and so if needed, other therapies can be included, like CBT or other. So the responses are very important. So we have to be always open, not lying. We don't have to lie, or we don't have to tell them you are great or something like that. We have to be affirmative, and we should tell the things in a positive way. That is the only thing. So now we are moving on to the CBT. Uh, like yes, we have many responses.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Actually, there were S for question number 1 and question number 3, ma'am, and it was a mixed response for question number 2, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. So we will see how they move from this to the in the end of the session. And
Yes,
if you have any queries, you please let me know so that I can answer your queries. And when it comes to CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, cognition means it includes memory and all other aspects of a functioning of the brain. So it is all encompassing. So cognition means the whole functioning of the brain. It is a scientific therapy where they want to change their attitudes from a dysfunctional to positiveness, which is helpful. And it is a short term goal focused. So they are not focusing on the problems, they are focusing on the uh, outcome. Okay, so this is a problem solving type of therapy, and uh, they have both the therapy, psychotherapy as well as behavior therapy. So here we can see that mood and emotions influence my thoughts. So they have some mood and that makes them think, oh, okay, I am not adequate, and uh, they want to not to do the things which makes them feel bad. So here it includes all the things: knowing, remembering, judging, problem solving, all these higher levels of functions. And but when we are helping younger people, we have to sort out their emotions, and we have to be very compassionate with them. So what are core beliefs? These are the two components of main components of CBT: core beliefs as well as automatic thoughts. So core beliefs means anyone know about CBT? Can you tell me about core beliefs if you are understood that point? Uh, in chat box you can put your ideas. So core beliefs are positive and negative things. Positive things are I am likable, I am good enough. Those are all positive things. These are all basically formed in their childhood. And uh, positive core beliefs would be like they make them a better person. But that is not, they won't be coming for any therapy, right? And negative core beliefs are uh, two types of negative core beliefs. One is helplessness. I am helpless. I can't do anything in this situation, and I am being such a bad person. Everything fails. So this is helplessness. Unlovability is since my looks are not good, or I am always a boring person. Something which is makes them feel they are unlovable. And automatic thoughts are these are core beliefs, so they have that thought in their mind. So one, they get into a situation like they are going into a marketplace, there is some trigger or someone looks at them, stares at them, and they think, oh, okay, I am very hopeless, I look very bad, so people are staring at me or something like that. And that triggers emotions, and they feel they will get more and more into that dysfunctional thoughts. So they don't want to go into the public at all again, or they want to avoid those circumstances where they start feeling bad. So these are all patterns you can see in OCD or social phobias and other things. So they have some thought, and their action will be avoiding such situations, and they are getting into again and again they are getting into dysfunctional beliefs. So how does CBT work? It works on the um, like if you have some core beliefs, negative core beliefs, we make the person sit down and think about that core beliefs, and we confront with them with questions. So, do you really think it is the way you are telling, or it is past? Now it is not the same thing. So, and when uh, we talk them about all those things, they will come up with solutions for them. So they think, oh, okay, this is not true. This is only past. Now it is not the same thing. So I will explain it with a case example so that it will be more understandable. So CBT is used mostly in unipolar depression. So you can see all these conditions. There is one dysfunctional thought, and that triggers the problem again and again. So it could be, sorry, it could be something in their childhood, or it could be even genetic, and it leads to some dysfunctional uh, problems. And this CBT basically revolves around doing homework, like uh, client and the doctor sit down, they plan things. First we build the rapport, and then we plan the things together. We ask the patients to write down what are their goals and how that can be achieved. So it is like a point to point noting down and executing these actions. So basically, it is more of homework where they are moved away from their dysfunctional ideas and they are more towards positive ideas. So here it is more of a structured this. Uh, why I have taken up this topic basically means when homeopaths do uh, counseling sessions, it will be mostly, as far as my knowledge, it is mostly supportive therapy. Like they say, I have some problem in house, and you are talking to them. Oh, okay, it is a bad situation. So you are empathizing, and they feel good. You give medicine, and it's over. But that is not true for all the cases. Few cases are this is common, like normal all our cases which are usually physical problems, somatic complaints. This type of therapy is enough. But when we treat more and more complicated issues, then uh, only talking out few things may not be enough. So then what is the way out? You can send them to psychiatrist or a psychologist, whoever. So, but for me, it is a little not acceptable because mm, I have a rapport with my patients. It's a professional relationship only, but we have certain amount of care towards. If we send them to a therapist, it could be beneficial or it may not uh, as beneficial as we expected because they may stop homeopathic medicines in between or they may not come back to us. So we will be losing our trust. So I prefer doing certain therapies myself. So it is just, if at all it is very serious conditions in psychiatric conditions like schizophrenia, where they are needing institutional care, I will send them to psychiatrist. Otherwise, most of the things what we saw here in this uh, few most of the things especially which are not psychotic psychosis or very dangerous to the patient, those can be handled by us, and we need to develop skills which make us um, competent enough to handle those things, and it is very much rewarding. And homeopathy is the starting point. So if a person is coming to you and you give medicine or based on his phase remedy or even his constitutional remedy, whatever, so that is the starting point. So most of the patients will be open soon after the remedy is given. It is a ice cream. Homeopathy works wonders. Definitely, there is no doubt at all. And a few cases are so simple that one single dose is enough to make the person totally healthy again. But that is not true in all the cases. So few cases need more care. So that's why I think we homeopath can be adapting few techniques by which we will be competent enough to handle those cases. So that is the point in the whole exercise. So when we see a something is done just randomly is less effective than something is done structured. That is my point. And here we have these are all CBT techniques, but exposure therapy we don't have to like if they have a phobia, a dog phobia or something like that. Homeopathic remedies works wonders. We may not be needing CBT there, right? But some other like addictions, we definitely need homeopathic medicines, and with that, we need other techniques as well. So that is the whole point in this exercise. So when I want to make more clear with this case example. This is a case of one student. 21-year-old girl. Let us call her Sweetie. And she is a borderline personality disorder. Can I know? Uh, can someone tell me what is borderline personality disorder mean? Any idea? What are the symptoms usually seen in those borderline personality disorder? What are the symptoms seen? Anyone? Are you aware?
Participants, please
Participants,
drop down your suggestions in the chat
suggestions
box.
in the chat box. Any idea what is borderline personality disorder? Okay. Usually, in borderline personality disorder, the persons, yeah, I think
Ma'am, there is a
someone,
suggestion like maniac depression,
okay, mania and
mood
depression.
unstable,
Uh,
mania, depression.
okay. No, mood unstable is correct. Okay.
Unstable mood again, emotional
Unstable,
instability,
instability. Yeah, yeah. Insecurity.
elation and
Correct.
alternative depressive, insecurity,
Elation of alternate depressive. Yeah, to some extent. Yeah, fine, fine.
insecurity,
Yeah, impulsivity, feeling worthless.
depression,
Exactly, exactly.
impulsivity, feeling worthless,
Yeah, right.
unstable behavior, unstable
Ratings and
relationship.
exactly, exactly. Super, super, very nice. And these are cases where they see everything in black and white. Either this is this end or that end. Uh, so they're too much attached to persons and uh, yeah, feelings of worthlessness, insecurity, impulsivity, impaired social relationship. Yes. Perfect. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So here they have that black and white thinking, and they will jump from this end to that end. And you can understand this girl had attempted on her life thrice. And you know how she took some antibiotics to end her life. So that is clear that she does not want to die, but it is more of to make the her what to say, the object of her affection understand how much she misses her. So you understand, right? Someone is trying to end her life with antibiotics or four sleeping pills, something like that. So she's not to want to die. Yeah. And this girl, she was so obsessive, like she can do anything for that girl. She'll be like a shadow. She will be with the girl always. And I think that girl was uh, Sweetie's friend, very close friend. She was a bit of Latina type nature, narcissistic, I feel. She was pretty, and she was topper in her class and other things. And she is, what a deadly combination, right? And she is a BP, borderline personality, and she is narcissistic. And when these things happen, this girl failed in her exams. Almost every year she will have one or two papers she has to pass. Like, when she came to me, that was third time she had attempted, and with some medicine. And first time when I spoke to her, uh, it was like a verbal diarrhea. She spoke for 3 hours, full hours, without any emotions on her face. She didn't show any emotions. She didn't cry or laugh, anything. It was a blank face, and spoke for 3 continuous hours. And she told me what and all happened from the first year till now, and how she failed for that girl's sake. She failed, and what she did for all those things. Okay, that was first time she spoke for 3 hours. I didn't interrupt at all. Do you think there was a rapport between us? What is your thought? We established a rapport, uh, and I think there was no rapport. she was only letting her all her emotions out. So there was no rapport formation in between us. And then it went on for another 5 or 6 sessions. I will tell her what remedy could have I have given. But I based my remedy on her physical general. She had uh, bleeding per annum, which was and burning soon after passing the stools. But her stools was normal. It was not hard. So this was the symptom which I considered, and based on that I gave her remedy. And believe me, till now, after almost 3 years, 2.5 years, she is only on that remedy, and it has been helping her. Any remedy suggestions based on this bleeding per rectum? And she needed only 1 or 2 phase remedies like Pulsatilla or Macos, something like that. Yeah, any remedy suggestions? Let me see. Okay, fine.
Participants, please
Okay.
drop your suggestions.
Yeah.
Nitric acid, ma'am.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Yeah, that is the remedy I gave her. Absolute, fabulous. I gave um, nitric acid. Yeah, bleeding per rectum. So, and then we sat down and we we both sat down and we uh, chalked out a plan how she has to overcome her problem. So it is like first I have to build a rapport with her. I told you we didn't have a rapport in the first day one of our interview, and then we both talked to the after the remedy. There was some changes. She felt good in general, and we started having a good client therapist relationship, and then we had a we both sat down and we sorted out each and each problems. Like I told her, I asked her whether it's okay to fail in the exams for the sake of a girl who is not reciprocating your friendliness or your love. So then slowly, gradually, she understood um, uh, loving someone so much is not uh, helping me in any way. So I have to love myself first rather than loving someone else. And for that, we both planned that she has to have a bright future. To have that bright future, she has to study well. She has to complete her studies. And she has to pass all the exams. And when that girl is uh, not helping her in any way, she is avoiding her, she is not talking to her, and she is making her miserable, she should ignore her rather than still sticking to that girl. Um, and in between, I had so many calls from her, like from Sweetie. Even I talked to Platina girl and told her, you be little more friendly with your friend because she is in pain, she is in difficulty. She has attempted for on her life. We don't want it to happen again. So it gave little bit of hope. That girl against, I mean, that Platina girl spoke to our Sweetie. It was going little bit okay for a few days, but again it came to the same thing. And okay, then, but now our girl is not that weak-minded. She can understand that it is not helping, and that the girl is not worth of her love and attention. So gradually she is moving away from the point that attempting on her life or showing in some exaggerated or dramatic manner that she loves that girl so much. That is not helping, and it is not even necessary. So gradually we both sat down and chalked out the plans, and I told her to focus on studies. And believe me, she completed her final exams where she had uh, she had arrears previously. Only one subject she failed. So out of 5 subjects, she failed in a one subject. So that was a great achievement. That's what I appreciated her. Like it was a great achievement. Besides your so much of pain, your attempt on life and other things, all other problems, you could achieve this feat. And we also talked about her parents who are having uh, like uh, it is goal oriented. That is we spoke about that. I emphasize about the present. The past is past, and also I showed her how much her parents care for her, and there are more friends other than that girl, that platinum girl in the class. She can well connect with other friends as well. So that was well received by her, and she could chalk out the plan, and she could structured way she can come out of this problem. So what is your thought? Only medicine can bring about all these things. Do you think only medicines, only nitric acid can bring about all these things, or I should have gone for the this psychotherapy? Which one is your thought? What is your thought? Just by giving psychotherapy, they can achieve good things. But I think with the medicine and the psychotherapy, that was more helpful for the patient. And we did in a structured way so that we knew already what we are moving towards, what is our goal. And also, she achieved those goals in another 6 months along with this therapy, with support of her family as well as her own commitment. She wants to get better. She don't want to be a loser. She wants to get better. So in that way, she overcome her problems, and she achieved her goals. So, what is your thought on that? This can be achieved only with medicine, or psychotherapy is needed. And do you think it should be sent to other doctor,
Ma'am,
or we
there are
can do?
suggestions.
Yeah, fine. I will see.
Yes, ma'am.
Both,
There are
both.
suggestions like both will go hand in hand. Medicine with our counseling.
Yeah,
Therapy is
fine.
also needed with medicine.
Medicine. Yeah, fine. So all are of the same thought that
Yes,
therapy is
ma'am.
needed, and I think we homeopaths alone can do the therapy, right?
Yes,
Instead of sending them to another medical cause. Yeah, fine. That's a good thought. Uh, so uh, I think it is clear with this case example how we step by step we adapted these techniques, and how we achieved how that girl achieved her realized her dreams, how she realized what is needed in life rather than what is needed, what she is doing, right? Can you see the transformation from by being focused on the her friend, uh, that focused on a friend is also there. She was in what to say, such dysfunctional thought. She was obsessed with the celebrity as well before attaching to this girl, uh, and so she understands that getting attached is not a necessity, and at the same time she wanted to get attached to me, uh, the therapist. Okay, so I was aware of that point, and I moved away from that by detaching myself. So it's a fine balance. I have to make sure that she is not attached to me, but yet I should look empathetic, compassionate, right? So I used to sometimes avoid her calls, so that whenever she wanted to talk to me and cry, something like that, I didn't let her do the things. So it was no attachment, rather than getting uh, away from one attachment and attached to some other. And I asked her to get attached to your clothes rather than people. So you can orient towards that. Okay. So these are all the things I adapted. And what are the key elements of a good listener? These are all psychotherapeutic techniques we use as often used in our practice. So it is a good listener, that is between 83 and 92, where case taking, Hahnemann talks about case taking. He actually he has already listed all these things. You have to have a good rapport, how to build a good rapport, and how to elicit symptoms, and we have to be unprejudiced in the first place, and we should not interrupt again and again, and we should show we are interested. We should not be writing in the book. So these things are already told by Hahnemann 200 years back. Now we are again reaffirmed by psychologists who have come to the same point independently. See, we have a treasure trove in our homeopathic textbooks, which we have to again and again unearth, and we have to use for the benefit of our patients. So uh, let me see what are all the suggestions coming. Uh, Someone wants to know what is CBT. That is, yeah, fine. Open posture means it is like this is guarded portion. So you don't want to let the other person in. So okay, tell me. It is little bit of arrogance. But when you are in open posture, you will be like little leaning forward, and you will be hearing what they are telling. So this is open posture. So it should not be in this guarded posture. This is guarded. Also, even if you could appreciate the while motivational interviewing, if you could appreciate how the teenagers behaved in the beginning and the end. So it is when they come into the clinic, when they are guarded, they will behave in some way, and then when they are with you, they will behave in some other way. So these are all clues for sorry, knowing whether they are into your uh, like they have building the rapport, or they are not built any rapport. So I think this is psychotherapy is uh, psychotherapy is different from counseling. Uh, like counseling is a very loose term used by everyone. Like even a grandma can be doing counseling, right? And uh, even a person who will attend a workshop, 2 days workshop, or do your breathing exercise, something like that, and they can start doing counseling. Counseling is basically good talk, that is friendly talk. Uh, but psychotherapy, why it is different? Basically means we have a structure for the way we conduct it ourselves. As I told you already, most of our cases are psychosocial. There is mental element in all our homeopathic cases. And most of the time, good talk is enough to make the patients comfortable, to build a rapport, and case taking itself is a uh, means to an end. Like while taking the case itself, patients will feel comfortable and they will be through their problems. But that is not very true with certain types of illnesses, especially like addictions. And especially nowadays, we are seeing more of mobile addiction and other substance abuse also high, and such things. And even in psychiatric cases, whether you are willing to take up psychiatric cases or not, there is a there is more demand for homeopaths, because they help. And I think we have to be aware of all the techniques by which we can deliver the best. So psychotherapy is one among them. So here we have 5 stages in doing a psychotherapy. Unlike in counseling, we more usually we more concentrate on the talk, what they tell, and we suggest something. It is over. So here we have both of us are aware of the process. So we are telling the patient that we are going through a therapy. It is not just a group talk. And we both agree to certain things. We sit down and we chalk it out. We ask the patient, are you aware where you are now, where you want to reach? So you have some problems with your thoughts, your beliefs. We have to change the way you are thinking so that you will be a positive, you get the positive results. You are more adept in uh, facing your problems. So this is 5 stages of psychotherapy, and in that process we are asking them to identify their strengths. So usually someone will be very good at uh, drawing, or in making art or photography, something like that. So even certain things like that can make them happy, more fulfilling. Like they are thinking all these years that they are very unlovable, they are very weak, or they are unattractive, they are boring, something like that. But focusing on their strengths make them feel better. So these are all we are doing step by step, with focus as well as with a plan, strategic plan. And interventions could be, there are so many psychological interventions, but we will keep it to our homeopathy as well as psychotherapy. And resiliency is, they should not get into the same dysfunctional thoughts again and again. So that is more important. And we have to end the psychotherapy. You can't be just see, that's what I told you. They will be having uh, attachment, and they will start get attached to you rather. So once they get away from the person they are attached, since you are compassionate, you are giving them you are soothing, they will get attached to you in the other way. So it should not happen. So it should be, you have to uh, terminate the psychotherapy. So you have to, there should be a start and there should be an end. And both of you should be aware of what is going on. And I saw a question here. What is it?
Ma'am, there is a question from Dr. Sonia. Can we have
Yeah,
question and answer session at
and
the
I
end,
end.
ma'am?
Yeah, fine, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
That's better. These are all the 5 stages of psychotherapy. And when we have to change their behaviors, we have to reframe and interpret all their behaviors. Just like you saw in the role playing, she first denied that she does not have a gaming addiction, but step by step she could interpret, yeah, there is some problem in that. So uh, instead of giving advice, we asked her to do what is best for her. So, and even sometimes telling her this is medically problematic. Like as I told her, if you are getting headache, that is not good enough, and you should not even taking pills uh, frequently. So in that way, we are giving her some advice. So and we are also giving feedback, right? Positive feedback. Just like that, in that other case, I told her, you have not failed in all the exams. You have failed only in one exam, despite all of your problems. So in that way, I boosted her morale. I made her feel important. So and it is not even a lie. It is a truth. So in that way, we are giving the positive feedback. We are showing them what is good in this. And what is the logical consequences of uh, their behavior. So you do this and this is the consequence. If you are attached to that girl and you are not studying, you are not socializing, you are not taking care of yourself, you are not loving yourself, and the consequence is you are losing out your uh, good part of your life, and you are not even achieving your goals, and you are not even understanding how your parents are loving you. So in that way we have built the consequences, logical consequences. So these things are already discussed according to Hahnemann. If we can go by that, we have to ask questions like, what made you uh, come here, or is it you came here for this? Is it yes or no? It should not be yes or no questions. It should be open closed questions, open questions. And you should use encourage. Yeah, yeah, I know it could be very hard, it could be very tough in that way. And you have to paraphrase what you have heard. Paraphrasing is just like that. I told her, yeah, I think this is the problem. It could be something related to mobile addiction. I heard from your mother. In that way. So same words what they are telling, we are paraphrasing. So by that we are not assuming anything. Sometimes no, we will be carried away and we think something. We will jump to the remedies straight away. But actually there is nothing like that. If you ask them again, is it so? They will tell, no, no, not at all. It is not there. The reason is entirely different. So you can never jump to a conclusion why it is happening. So you have to paraphrase what you have heard and confirm with them whether the same thing is true or it is something else. And you have to reflect on their feeling. Are you feeling bad? You ask, they will tell yes. But instead of that, you have to tell how you are feeling. Then they will tell, I am feeling this way, it is miserable or something like that. They will give the details, what is the exact, and that will be helpful for even knowing our remedy. And you have to summarize all the things, just like I did in the MI this. And you should not do, you should not never uh, uh, push your own ideas on the patient. Like most of the time, we'll be judging patients. They have some extramarital affairs, or they are against the normal social norms. So those things, no, we will have certain ideas in our own mind. So we may show our judgments. That is not at all acceptable. So we should be very clear in our point. We should never pass on our ideas to them. Everything is patient's own. They are totally free to do what they really want to do. We are only here to help them sort it out, right? And it is called objectivity. So you have to be objective in every step of your therapy. And it should be interactive, intensely interactive. I remember a case where one girl was 19-year-old girl. She had some issues. I was in beginning of my practice. Whole day I'll be thinking about that girl. Sometimes she will visit 3 times a day. I have leg pain, I have back pain, or I have headache. So I had taken up her whole problems upon me. I'll be totally thinking about her whole day. So these things are very regressive. They are not helping you, therapist or the patient. So these things should be totally avoided. And you should always give it practical solutions will be cafeteria type. Like when you go to a cafeteria, what they will tell? They will tell idli dosa vada, right? They won't tell you, I have only idli, you eat idli. That is not the case, right? So in a cafeteria method, you have all the things on the platter, they let them choose. And sympathy, empathy, and compassion. There is a difference between these three. So sympathy is you are also carried away in the emotions what your patients are going through. empathy is you are detaching yourselves from their emotions, but you are still with them. You are helping them. You want to help them to overcome their problems, but you don't know how to do that. You are only empathizing. You are only saying, "Oh, your papa." So in that way, but compassion is you reach out to them. You want to help them. So that is the point where compassion is the point where we are giving psychotherapy to our patients, to homeopathic patients. So when we are compassionate, then only we will reach out to them and we help them to overcome their problems. And uh, so you are working hard, but you have to take care of legalities as well. So whenever it is applied for all the homeopathic doctors. Uh, Now Indian homeopathy especially or global, they are most sought of, but certain things differ from western culture and western legal issues as well. So in Indian context, I see so many posts on Facebook and even on WhatsApp going around where patients identity is revealed, their face is shown, videos are posted, and even their name address has been posted. It is totally illegal. You will end up in trouble. So it's a very essential thing to take care of. You should never reveal the patient's identity, and you should be very careful when it comes to sharing their uh, uh, material regarding to your patients. So these things are definitely has to be taken care of. And about compassion fatigue, that is when you are treating your patients, uh, you are also getting involved in uh, some amount of mental exhaustion. Along with that, you feel bad for their problem, right? And you feel very tired. So compassion fatigue is a very common thing, and that is one of the leading reasons for doctors having issues, health issues. So you have to take care of compassion fatigue. You need to be understand problem does not come. Yeah, uh, these things needs to be talked about. You know that there is a one problem, but that does not solve the problem. We have to work on that problem. We have to know the ways to come out of that problem. Just by knowing does not make it less, right? So you have to work out, work the ways out. Resilience. You have to take problems in your stride. It is very difficult at times, but you have to be prepared. And you should have a team of doctors. You need a peer group. You need mentors or compassionate seniors, and you should have someone at your uh, place, some bystander, maybe your when you are examining the patient. These things already has been discussed by Hahnemann, right? So we have to be doing all these things, and I think I have made my point, and hope you reconsider if you had some other thoughts by now. So can we take up questions and answers now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah, please.
Ma'am, this is a question from Dr. Sonia.
Yeah,
Which technique of counseling should we use in cases of drug addiction?
drug addiction. Yeah, that's what I told you before. That is most of the motivational interviewing and CBT are most helpful for that. Motivational so even now I showed you about the addiction itself. So drug addicts are very difficult to handle because they have that intense craving. It's not just craving; it is a disorder of brain, right? So addiction is not just a disease, only problem. It is a disorder of brain. So I think we should start with medicines. We have to build the rapport because very difficult to build the rapport, and then we can give them motivational interview. We have to make them empowered with their problem, and make them understand that they alone have to come out of their problems. So we both will sit down together and we will chalk out the plan how they can come out their problems. So MI will be the best suitable thing for drug addiction or treating drug addiction. Yeah,
Okay.
hope that
Ma'am, there is another
helps.
query. Is there any therapy for schizophrenia?
Yeah, actually, schizophrenia, the type of schizophrenia matters. Paranoid schizophrenia is very, very difficult to handle, but homeopathic remedies have been very helpful in bringing about the change in the patients. I myself have experience in those cases. Yet, schizophrenia is still a very difficult thing to handle. Though there is gradations, uh, and except in the cases where there is violence involved, the patient is very violent. Uh, you don't experiment with such patients. You better allow them to be institutionalized. But otherwise, if your patient is not a schizophrenic patient, is fairly functional, uh, they will be very difficult to bring to the counseling. But CBT will be more effective. CBT in the sense you have to gradually build the rapport and then sit down and chalk out the plans. But if there is insight, definitely we can try CBT rather than motivational
Okay.
interview. CBT will be more suitable.
Okay. Ma'am, there is another query. How to keep children away from the addiction of mobile or internet?
Actually, it is a very uh, elaborate subject. In fact, I did a workshop about that, how to reduce mobile addiction and other things. Uh, but one thing is, as I told you in motivational interviewing, you have to make them understand it is a problem. Mobile addiction is definitely a problem, and you will end up in more problems if you continue like this. That is one way. And keeping the points written down, so that helps, like journaling. So if you ask the child to write down how many times he has used the screen, like computer or phone or whatever, uh, and let them understand that it is very bad for their eyes, their brain, and other things. And most of the people will understand. Even small kids will understand if it is told in a medical terms, like it is bad for your health. You will have so and so thing. So you have to make them aware of the problem, and you have to motivate them. You have to leave this bad problem, uh, bad habit. It will, you will end up in a much more trouble. So definitely it can be done.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, many people were asking about the online courses regarding CBT and counseling. Is there any courses available, ma'am, in online?
Yeah, in Udemy it is there. CBT course is there. Udemy and other such counseling. Uh, the psycho center of excellence, something like that. On Facebook you can search for that center of excellence. Even Udemy you have CBT courses.
Okay, ma'am.
Can pursue.
Yes. There is one more question from Dr. Sunita. Depression following migraine, what psychotherapy to give? Repetition of homeopathic medicine in such cases.
Okay. uh, shall will you come back again? Depression.
Depression following migraine, what psychotherapy to give? Repetition of homeopathic medicine in such cases.
Like migraine is a it's a whole uh, it is in the category of difficult to treat cases, but migraine cases, it is more of getting the right remedy. That there should be two remedies, like one phase remedy whenever they have headaches, and then they should have some based on their constitution or their on their essence or on the causation or whatever is more suitable for that case. And if it is menopausal, it little differs in that way. but definitely counseling will be after the remedy starts helping. So uh, repetition of the remedy will be based on the uh, how many times in a week or a month they are getting the headaches. So basically it is my approach will be first start with phase remedy, whichever is at that point of time, whichever is helping, and then it can be repeated as often as possible. So even thrice in a day. If it is water dose, I usually prefer water dose. So 1 or 2 pills in half glass of water, the same solution is taken thrice a day. So it depends on the intensity of the disease, migraine. But counseling is very less. You can have supportive therapy because it is more of uh, like what is it? Somatic illness, more of. So I don't think it needs any much of counseling. So only
Okay,
a good talk is enough. Yeah.
okay. Ma'am, one last question. How to improve from anxiety and bipolar disorder?
Yeah, that is a very good question and great question, but it has some limitations. Anxiety is a little difficult to control. Homeopathic remedies definitely have a very great role to play. So you can start with homeopathic remedies. Even aconite or such short-acting drugs can be very helpful at that phase remedies. But when it comes to anxiety, CBT helps. Even like sorry, uh, graded exposure. What they say. So why you are anxious? First, you know the problem. What is making you anxious, and they after that they can be exposed to that trigger slowly. So they are very fearful of stage on stage or of social phobias, something like that. They can be exposed to that trigger gradually, or they can be after remedy they can be flooded in the sense once they are getting into that place they will be okay. So these things, these techniques can be applied, especially CBT. But remedy is the one which mostly help calming them. So first their exact appropriate remedy, and then followed by graded exposure and other CBT techniques. That will be helpful in anxiety.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I would like to inform you one thing, ma'am.
Yeah,
Today, IHMA conducted a poll in today's Telegram group,
yeah.
and 83% of the reply were that we should provide both homeopathy medicine and counseling in case of psychological or psychiatric conditions, ma'am.
Fine. So all are agreeing to me even beforehand. Uh, no, I had heard that a few people prefer only homeopathic remedies. There is no need for. So I wanted to know how many
Yes,
really
ma'am.
think that.
14% of people replied that only homeopathy medicine is enough.
Yeah, 40%.
Yes,
But after this presentation, I think you can see that psychotherapy can also be uh, adjunct to homeopathic remedies. If
yes,
that
ma'am.
point is conveyed, my presentation is done. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity and being wonderful audience. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session. I would like to invite Dr. Ramya, ma'am, to deliver the vote of thanks. Ma'am, please, ma'am.
Excuse me, I'm audible?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am.
Okay. I thank you, Rekha ma'am. I thank you so much for being our mentor, actually. I thank you for being so kind to us to come forward with the topics we actually need in our daily practice.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Several cases.
Actually, we need these classes, and your hands-on experience, which you have acquired throughout the years. You are actually open to us, telling that this can be done, this cannot be done, this is the possible thing. Okay, it's very clear to us. On behalf of IHMA Kerala and IHMA Women's Wing Ernakulam, I thank you thank you so much. And actually, I feel like I have a mother at Chennai. Now I feel like that because
Thank you so
many a
much.
times I am calling you. I think for the last 6 months we have called enough and more, and day by day I feel more and more empowered working with my cases. Thank you so much. I feel like every person, every doctor in IHMA, if they get such an opportunity, they will improve in their practice. Sure.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
surely.
madam.
IHMA is all about that, mentoring and getting lots of love from seniors. Thank you so much, Ramya. Thank you, one and all. Yeah, I think we can end the session.
Yes, ma'am. Can we conclude the session, ma'am?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.